What is up, YouTube? We're back with another video. Today we will be going over the presumed starting quarterbacks. I know that there's still a few up in the air. I'll be doing Carson Wentz, even though he's not starting, and then I won't be doing rookies that I won't believe will be starting, like Justin Fields. I think they're all, well, Mac Jones might not start as well, but it'll be Trey Lance starting for sure, and then I think all the other rookies, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Zach Wilson, Trevor Lawrence. So yeah, it'll be all the quarterbacks that I believe will be starting week one. Before we get into that, I just wanted to remind you guys to give the Twitter a follow, show it some love. There will be a lot of news from there. It'll be a good place to follow if you're trying to keep up with all the football news. So yeah, let's get into it. So first off, Tom Brady. You could argue that he is elite, and you could also argue that he's only above average, but I'm still going to give him borderline elite just because he's Tom Brady. He won the Super Bowl. The arm's still there. The decision making is a little questionable sometimes. The forgetting the fourth down, and then all those picks against the Packers game makes you worry a little bit, but I don't know. He's still better than most quarterbacks. I think you would take him over at least 25 of the other ones, so I think he belongs in there. Joe Burrow. This one might be a little controversial, but I think he's above average. Last year, he had one of the worst lines and still looks pretty good. The however many weeks he played, it was like only 5 or 6. You're hearing a lot of news right now that he's not confident and that he's really worried about his knee, which I get since he tore his ACL, his MCL, and then I think there might have been another thing too. So I'm hoping that he gets into a groove pretty quick. He's got Jamar Chase now, which should help. They've still got T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd, so he's got quite the wide receiver arsenal. The O-line still stinks, but I don't know, maybe they'll figure something out. Or, yeah, I mean, they got a good run game. The O-line needs work, but I think Joe Burrow he'll be pretty good this year if he stays healthy. Dak, Dak's a tough one because he's either at the bottom of borderline elite or above average. He did look pretty good last year, even though they lost a lot of the games that he started in. I'll give him borderline elite. Hopefully their defense doesn't stink as much as they did last year, because Dak he's pretty talented. He's got good footwork. He's got a good enough arm. I think that they have one of the best wide receiver groups, and by the way, this tier list, if I didn't mention, this is not past. This is rankings going into the season. So where I think they'll rank as the season progresses. And I think Dak he's still got an above average offensive line. They're getting a little old, but they're still pretty good. And then he's still got kind of a three-headed monster with Gallup, Cooper, and Lamb. And I think Lamb, he progressed a little bit through Dalton's time, even though Lamb was kind of quiet at the start of the year. He started getting a little better towards the end of the season. And I think with that coming back, he'll just explode, but we'll see. Ryan Fitzpatrick. Yeah, I feel bad doing this because I like him, but I'll give him average. He's probably bottom. He'll be below most people that are on this rank, but he's got his moments. He really did rally the Dolphins, even though they started Tua over him eventually, which I think that was a bad move, but I guess maybe Flores and their front office wasn't thinking win now, even though I think Fitzpatrick would have been the better option. Yeah, I think Washington is kind of a similar team to the Dolphins. They have a much better defense than the Dolphins. Dolphins have a better offense than them, but it's kind of a similar team. More talent on the defense. Just throw Fitzpatrick in and hope he goes off with his gunslinger ways. And so, sometimes he'll just look horrible, turn the ball over, make horrible throws, but then he also will amaze you too, and he did that a lot last year. It's going to be interesting to see him with the Washington football team. They have good talent at receiver, and they also have really good receiving backs too. And they brought in Curtis Samuel, and Logan Thomas is a pretty solid tight end. Nobody really talks about him, but he's pretty good. So it'll be interesting to see what he does with such a good defense around him too. I think they could win the East, but yeah, it's either them or the Cowboys in my opinion. I don't think we really need to discuss this one. He's definitely, in my opinion, he's still the best, even though Aaron Rodgers is coming off MVP. Yeah, and now they have a little bit better of an offensive line than last year, I'd say. So they're going to even be more scary this year. And they just lost Sammy Watkins, who is he kind of blended in with their receiver core. I don't think he was anything too special. So yeah, I think that they improved over the offseason for their passing game. Tyra Taylor. It stinks that he's on the Texans, but I'm still going to put him in to average. He has a pretty good track record. He's made the playoffs a lot. He always gets replaced by some draft pick or some younger guy. I think that this season he'll not do very well, but not because it's his fault, just because their team is so bad. They do have some offensive weapons, but yeah, I don't know. I think they're just kind of in a messy situation right now with the whole Watson thing. But he will be starting week 1, I'm pretty sure. Sam Darnold, I'm going to put him in below average, but he'll probably be on the upside. I'm going to try to go left to right, best being on the left, right being the worst. I'll keep Tom Brady above Dak. Well, so Sam Darnold, he got out of being on the Jets, which is good. But the problem with the Panthers is their O-line is not very good. I think it's about on par with the Jets. Maybe the Jets is better now that they got Elijah Vera Tucker, but he does have better weapons than he did last year. Jets picked up some receivers, but having Moore and Robbie Anderson and CMC is definitely going to help them a lot, and a better defense too. That's just a better team overall. He doesn't have Adam Gase anymore. I think he could either improve a lot and be what everyone wanted him to be with the Jets, but I don't blame him for not being good on the Jets. I don't think that was on him. But I think it's a make or break year for Sam Darnold. I think the Panthers will move on if he's not good. They moved on from Teddy pretty quick. But yeah, I think he's below average. I think he could be average to high end average. I think, yeah, that would be his ceiling for me. I think he's not bad, but just hasn't proved anything yet. Jared Goff. I think Jared Goff is not as bad as everybody says. He made a Super Bowl on a pretty stacked Rams team. I get that argument, but everybody's acting like he's just horrible and that he's one of the worst in the league and has like the worst contract ever. He does have a pretty bad contract. I will give those people that make that argument, but I still think he's average. I think that he'll be better than most people talent-wise that will go in this column. Yeah, stinks that he's on the Lions. Doesn't have any receivers really anymore. I guess they picked up Tyrell Williams and maybe have some other really young guys. But they are building that O-line. He'll have some pretty good protection. And I don't know. I think that there might be some Lions games this year that Jared Goff actually plays pretty well, and they'll almost, or maybe even upset pretty good opponent. Because sometimes he'll play really good. Like he threw like 4 touchdowns and 450 yards against the Chiefs like just a few years ago. So yeah, I don't know. I think he's a little overhated right now. So I think that people would maybe put him in below average, but I don't think he's that bad. It's funny how for the Packers they have Jordan Love also there, but obviously he's not going to be starting anymore. This list was probably made a month ago or something since they have the QB battles, but yeah, not much you need to talk about. He was probably above average, borderline elite the last few years, and then last year he just exploded. Played almost perfect. Insane quarterback rating, almost no picks, and yeah, kind of got screwed over in the playoffs by. I mean, I guess hindsight 2020. They still would have need to score a touchdown. So yeah, I don't know. You can knock on LaFleur for that. I certainly have. But anyways, he's coming back with a vengeance this year, and I think it's kind of a make or break year for him too. Nobody's questioning his talent or if he's going to decline, but just for staying on the Packers wise, it's a make it or break it year. And Jordan Love will be starting next year, I believe. He'll either, maybe if they win the Super Bowl, he'll stay. There's no way he's staying if they don't win. But yeah, he's still definitely still top 2, top 3, you could argue. But he's probably top 2. You could argue top 1 even. But Zach Wilson, I'm just gonna put him in average. I don't really want to knock too much on the rookie quarterbacks. You can critique them for their preseason play a little, but I don't know. I think it's too soon to, especially it's only been 1 week too. I don't think Wilson's looked horrible or amazing. He's had his moments, and he's had his rookie moments too in that first preseason game. But yeah, I think that he should be average. Jets, they added a few weapons. Their line's improving. Hopefully, their coaching situation works out better than Adam Gase. I think it's hard to not do better than that. So I think he's in much better hands than Darnold was when he was drafted. So yeah, we'll see if that talent that everybody's been hyping him up to have pays off. It might take some time, but I'm excited to see. Russell Wilson. Yeah, it's kind of tough. He's for sure in these two, obviously. But I don't know. I mean, he still is elite, but he just towards the end of last season, he definitely played more above average to borderline elite. Definitely not elite. He was going insane at the beginning of the year, though. And yeah, I mean, Seahawks, their offense is kind of weird. Hopefully Chris Carson stays healthy this year. And their passing game should be good. I think DK Metcalf will continue the rule that he's on, and then Tyler Lockett will explode for 50 fantasy points randomly. Yeah, I think that he could be S as soon as week 1 when he turns back into his September form and goes off, but just towards the end of last season, and yeah, I don't know. He just declined a little bit. He could be back. I could be wrong about this. I'm just going to put him in borderline elite for now. Daniel Jones. Hate to do this, but he's trash. He was a bust. Yeah, you can make the argument that their O-line is abysmal, which it is. But I don't see it. I could see it with, Sam Darnold and Joe Burrow. Yeah, I think they'll be drafting the quarterback after this year. But, I mean, hopefully I'm wrong for his sake. Hopefully Saquon stays healthy. They got a ton of receiver talent with Galladay. And they still have Slayton and Shepard. And then Evan Ingram's, he's a little overrated, but I'd still say he's an above average tight end. So yeah, I mean, he's got the targets passed to. The line won't hold up at all, but yeah, he's trash. This is his last year. Mark my words. Kirk, he, for me, is above average. At the first 5 games of last year, he was probably almost even trash, but definitely below average. Then he kind of turned it around. Yeah, I think he just needs to get out of his head a little bit. It's kind of hard to do with the O-line the Vikings have, but yeah, once he got his confidence last year, he started playing a little better. Not really sure what happened at the start of the season. He's got the weapons. He doesn't have Rudolph anymore, but I think that Irv will come into his own this year. And then, yeah, still having Thielen and Jefferson, that's always nice. The O-line is very worrisome. They lost Riley Reif. And Darisaw is not looking like, I mean, it's still early in the preseason, but I would be shocked if he's there week 1, probably even week 2 with that groin injury. And they don't really have a lot of depth at O-line, so hopefully he can get back and be starting at least by week 2, or else J.J. Watt is probably going to be sacking Kirk a few times at least. But yeah, I think Kirk he's better than all these guys. And yeah, I think he just needs to be consistent. Yeah, the O-line worries me. They've got a tough schedule, so he's not really set up to have a good year, but we'll see. Maybe their O-line will surprise us. Josh Allen, I think that he is the third best quarterback after these two. I think, yeah, he's kind of on the upward slope right now. And Russell Wilson, he's not really on the downward, but I don't think he's going to get any better. I think Josh Allen's going to get better still. He's still young. He's still getting that chemistry with Diggs and Beasley. And as soon as they get a run game, which they did not really have last year, he'll be even more deadly if he starts being able to get them to bite on play action, get them to respect the run. I think Josh Allen could be the best quarterback this year, honestly. There's a chance. I wouldn't bet that he will be, but he's definitely got the talent. Yeah. Justin Herbert, he, for me, is going to be bottom end borderline elite. I know everybody is praising him a lot right now, but I think that with the O-line he had last year, probably the worst O-line in the league, and now adding Rashawn Slater and Corey Linsley, and then getting a couple other guys back, their line was just, it was injured and wasn't really that good to begin with, but got even worse at the end of the year, and then he still put up the stats that he did. I think he'll continue to improve this year. I don't see him sophomore slumping, but we'll see. You never know. Tannehill, he is probably about the best you could be for above average. At least so far, according to these guys. He's better than these two. He's got the arm. He's set up for success with having Derrick Henry, and then also having Julio makes you want to put him even up there because he might just go off this year. His game's maturing. He knows what he needs to do. Yeah, I think he'll continue to put up really efficient numbers this year. I don't want to put him alongside these guys, but he is much better than Kirk and Burrow. I think I'll move Kirk ahead of Burrow too, because Burrow, he could be average, but I just think that if that line doesn't completely suck, that he should be able to just go off with the weapons that he has. He's the tough one. I kind of want him to put him in average just because, like, we haven't really seen him a whole lot, but I think I'm going to put him in below average. He did not look too good, but he's definitely not a finalized product. I think that he could be pretty good. I think he needs to settle down a little bit. Having Jalen Waddle will be really nice. He's a hard one to pick because he came out number 5 draft pick straight from Alabama with a lot of hype, and then he kind of started at a bad time with Ryan Fitzpatrick being kind of hot and getting them on a win streak. But yeah, I mean, I think that maybe he could be okay. I don't think that he's gonna explode this year, at least. I mean, maybe down the road, but I don't know. He's tough to judge right now. I'll just put him in below average. I think that their starting quarterback is 90%. I 90% think it's going to be Jameis Winston, and I think that you could put him in below average, but I think that with the Saints' weapons and their O-line's pretty good, I think you got to at least put him in C. And hopefully he took some things away and tried to learn a lot and try to better his game after getting his spot taken by Tom Brady and backing up Drew Brees. I could see him fitting in that offense. He's still got the weapons. He's got Kamara. He's got Michael Thomas. Good O-line. I think he should be fine as long as he doesn't make bad decisions like we're used to him doing. I think average is a good spot. Kyler Murray, I will put in above average. I don't think he's better than Tannehill. He's also kind of a work in progress. But he has his moments. He's pretty good. He's got the weaponry for sure. It sucks that he's in pretty tough division, and I think their O-line's gotten a little better. I think he should be pretty good. I don't know if he'll improve too much over last year, but we'll have to see what the Cardinals can do this year. I think that everybody's kind of taking the Rams and the 49ers over them, but we'll see if he has something to say about that. I think that he didn't improve a whole lot last year over the year before, and I think that's why most people are writing the Cardinals off. And I guess their front office situation's getting a little messy right now too with the whole Chandler Jones thing. But I think Kyler he'll be above average at least. I think he could get closer to that borderline elite zone if they end up winning a lot of games in their division. That'll have to be on him, but we'll see. Derek Carr, I will put above average. I think he's better than Burrow. I think him and Kirk are pretty interchangeable. He's kind of also another one of those guys like Goff or Kirk that's kind of overhated on. He always has good numbers, and that they haven't really had good records ever, so that makes you wonder. Other than when they made the playoffs in 2015 it was, or it was a while ago, but he's got the talent. Hopefully Henry Ruggs can turn into a star. The Raiders are kind of a hard team to judge. You don't know if the John Gruden thing is going to work out. Their first round pick was a little questionable. I think they're more gearing towards running the ball this year since they got Kenyon Drake, and then they kind of got more of a rushing friendly tackle with Leatherwood. So, and then they still have Josh Jacobs, who's pretty good. He's pretty underrated, I'd say. So they're going to have kind of a two-headed monster. So maybe that will open things up for Carr, and he'll be even more efficient, but I think he belongs in there for now. I don't really know if the Raiders are going to do a whole lot. I think they'll probably, do what they always do, just finish third or second. Probably third, though. I think Chargers and Chiefs are going to win those first two spots. I'm not too high on Carr, but we'll see. Jalen Hurts, he's also an unfinished product. I'll put him in average. I think it's kind of hard to judge him. He looked good last year, but he's got a new coach now. They've lost a lot of people. I don't think people are too high on the Eagles, but they could be all right. I think they're getting a little overhated on too. I don't think they're worse than the Giants, but they're both similar. But yeah, we'll see what Jalen Hurts can do. They grabbed Devontae Smith, who's the speedy deep threat that they kind of been looking for a while. I mean, Jalen Reagor's pretty good too, but yeah, we'll have to see what Hurts can do. He's still unfinished product. Not much experience. Baker, I'm going to put Baker right here. I forgot I said I was going to go left to right. I think I can put Zach Wilson behind these guys. Tyra Taylor, meh. I'll just keep him there. He's kind of hard to judge too. I'll put him back here. Right here's fine. So Baker. Baker, he's showing that he's can be their franchise quarterback. I think that his decision making is getting better. And now he just has such a good team around him. The offense was already super sick last year, but now they just keep adding. Last few years they've just added tons of free agents. Now is mostly on defense this year, but yeah, I think that they'll have Odell again next year. They've got probably either the best or top two offensive line. They've got the best running back duo also, so things will open up nicely. And then I think last year just worked because he fit well with Stefanski. And so I think he's just starting to really get on the uprise now. I think Baker should be continuing to improve. It's a contract year for him. He didn't get extended at all, so I think he kind of has that chip on his shoulder. We'll see. I think the Browns could really go off this year. Baker will be a big part of it if he does. So my guess on who the starting quarterback will be is going to be Trey Lance. I'll put him in the average. He's the definition of an unfinished product. It's all spectacle. It's all speculation, I should say. Because he played for NDSU. He wasn't playing against, SEC defenses, but the talent is there. The raw materials are there. But it's going to be interesting, putting a raw prospect on the team that is kind of win now mode. They definitely are win now mode, but I guess I don't have too many super old guys. But yeah, it should be interesting. They have the talent. They've built up that receiver core a little bit now. And then they've got the running backs, obviously. I think it should be interesting. But yeah, I just think they're trying to move on from Jimmy. And I can't put, like I said, I'm putting all the rookies, I believe, just an average, just because you don't really know unless it's a guy like, maybe like Cam Newton. If you were doing this before he got drafted, you could probably put him up there, but I don't think. I mean, Trevor Lawrence, he could be even better than Cam Newton, but yeah, I'm just gonna put them in average now. But yeah, I mean, we'll talk about Trevor. He's got the talent. I mean, not a lot, but he's got Marvin Jones now, who I think was kind of an underrated pickup. And then they got Etienne. They still have James Robinson. He's got Urban Meyer. Doesn't have Tim Tebow anymore, which is a shame. I don't think he probably would have been passing to him much. But yeah, I don't really have too high hopes on the Jaguars. I think that they didn't really even need to draft Etienne. James Robinson's already good. Yeah, his time isn't now. He could have a pretty good year. He could have a year kind of like Justin Herbert, where they go 5-11 or 5-12 this year now, and then he still puts up insane numbers and breaks a bunch of records. I could see it. Teddy or Drew Lock? Teddy isn't trash. I think they're gonna go with Drew Lock though, and he is kind of trash in my opinion. I won't disrespect Daniel Jones like that. He has the arm. He just doesn't really have the decision making. It'll be nice this year with Cortland Sutton coming back. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. It looked pretty good in the preseason game, but yeah, maybe he'll play with a little more urgency this year. But last year was pretty ugly. He's got a good team around him though. Can make a run if he plays well. Matt Stafford. I think that Matt Stafford is getting a lot of love, a lot of hype, just because I don't know if it's because the Rams are in LA or why everybody's just drooling all over him, but yeah, I'm not going to put him in borderline elite. I don't think he's better than any of those guys. I will put him. He's not even. Yeah, I don't know. He's been on the Lions, a bunch of shitty Lions teams, so you can't. It's kind of hard to say, but I don't know. I don't think he's as good as everybody's saying. He's still a top 10 quarterback, but probably number 9 or number 10. I still think he could go off this year. I mean, the Rams always do good. Jared Goff, I was defending him a little bit, but I mean, Matt Stafford's much better than him. But yeah, his body is worn down quite a bit from all those years in Detroit. But maybe he'll be playing with a chip on his shoulder now that he's in LA and everybody's expecting him to do so much. We'll have to see. He's kind of a tough one too. But yeah, I mean, he's got the arm. He's got pretty good decision making for the most part. I think he'll probably be the best on the above average, but I can't put him with these guys just yet. I think people are jumping on the Stafford train a little too early, but we'll see. I could be wrong on that one. That one might be controversial. I think I'm gonna have to put Andy Dalton in below average. I would put it in C or average if it was Fields, but it is not. I think Andy Dalton is, yeah, he's not better than any of these guys. Didn't really do much on the Cowboys, but yeah, I think Andy Dalton is just he's a backup at this point. Hopefully he only starts. I think Fields will be out there week 6, maybe week 5 if the Bears go like 0-3 or 1-3 to start. But yeah, I don't think Andy Dalton's. I don't think anybody on the Bears or in their front office is thinking Andy Dalton's going to play half this year. Yeah. Anyways, Lamar is going to be right behind Russell and that borderline elite. Lamar, he would, if he didn't get Rashad Bateman and Watkins, he would probably be over here. Just not because it was his fault, just because he just had such a bad cast. Hollywood Brown was supposed to be the guy, but he just wasn't. And I feel like that wasn't Lamar's fault. I think that was more him. But yeah, they've still got pretty good line. Stanley, pretty good left tackle. Yeah, I think that the Ravens should be good. And then obviously their running game is nasty with everybody they have back there, and then having Lamar on top of all that, and then having an above average line. I think the only question is the passing, which I think their passing game this year is definitely going to improve, and then that might even open up more running for him if they're worried about Rashad Bateman and Watkins, and maybe Brown will have a better year not being guarded by the best cornerback on every team. He still could be unless Rashad Bateman really goes off. But yeah, I think Lamar should be better this year than he was last year. Big Ben, I still think he's average. The Steelers were pretty good last year for the most part. They did lose a lot of people. But I think, yeah, I don't know, maybe having Najee Harris will open some things up. I know their line is abysmal, but yeah, I don't know. Everybody's really bullish on Claypool and Deontay Johnson. So maybe Big Ben can have another season like he did a few years ago when he just popped off for 5,000 yards. Probably not with the line that they have, but I'm not going to put him in below average, but he's definitely bottom end average. He's holding on by a thread to his career. But yeah, Steelers will still be pretty good, mostly because of their defense. Matt Ryan, I'll put him. He's probably above most of these guys, honestly. I'll put him right here. I think that Matt Ryan. I know that Julio's gone, but I do like Calvin Ridley a lot. I think Kyle Pitts, sorry. I think Kyle Pitts should be pretty good this year. I think he'll be pretty good instantly off the bat. He'll be a touchdown threat. Yeah, the Falcons are kind of a weird team. They've kind of just been like mediocre for a while, but I don't know. Matt Ryan, he's getting old. Maybe he'll feel a little more urgency this year, and he'll get over the Super Bowl loss and just decide to go off and turn into 2016 Matt Ryan. I still think he's above average. He's not what he once was, but he has moments where he looks pretty good. And I think you'd take him over most of these guys. He just doesn't really have the team he once did. But yeah, he's still above average. Wentz, he's a tough one because the talent's there, but you don't want him just because he's so injury prone. Yeah, I think he's probably at the top end of average, but he needs to stay healthy. He needs to have that protection around him, which he now does, being on the Colts. Yeah, it sucks that he got injured to start the year too, but I I have no idea what the Colts are going to do regarding their quarterback situation, but I think that from what I'm hearing, Wentz will be back, not at week 12, but well, it was 12 weeks since the injury happened, so probably was going to be week 8 or 9 at the latest, and now it's looking a little better, so he'll probably be their quarterback most of the season. I think if he can just be serviceable, that the Colts will make a run just because their whole roster is so deep. Yeah, they just need to get through those first few weeks without Quentin Nelson and Wentz, and they should be fine. Wentz he could go off. I don't know. It's hard to know with him because he's had such a weird career. Cam Newton and Mac Jones. Yeah, this one kind of sucks for me to say. I think he's better than both these guys, but I think Cam Newton's pretty much done. The arm is not there anymore. I think the coaches and the defenses know what he's going to do now. He's got a lot of limitations. I think Mac Jones will probably hop in pretty quickly, unless things work out somehow. But it just didn't really work too well last year. Yeah, and Mac Jones looked pretty good in that preseason game, but yeah, I don't know. Unless Cam somehow just improves from last year, I think he's pretty much done. So yeah, that's the tier list. Trying to think if there's anything I would change. Any second thoughts? I do think Burrow might be a little high. That one's kind of speculation. I don't know. I think he could be really sick this year with Jamar Chase, and then obviously T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd are still pretty good. People probably are mad for me saying that Jared Goff is above all those other guys, but I think he's a little overhated. Matt Stafford, I think people are jumping on the hype train for him too early. And then, yeah, I think most people do think Justin Herbert's better than most of these guys, so I don't feel too bad for that one. Yeah, so that's the tier list, guys. Let me know if there's any horrible takes that you think I had on this. Excited to hear your guys' opinions, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks.